Hi guys, it's Nika, and I really hope you like vampires because you will be seeing them a lot in the following weeks on this channel. I have a whole create a sim challenge, vampire challenge planned for October. This sim is not a part of the challenge, but she is a vampire. And I hope you like vampire stories, because when I was preparing this video, I decided to write down my ideas so that I don't forget anything that I want to say about her. And I went a little bit overboard, I think. I just wanted to simply say, okay, so this is Magdalene. She is the sister of Kalias. She is a vampire just like him. This is how he turned her. This is what they were doing, long story short. And then they stopped talking, and then she was underground for a few decades, and then she came back at the end of 20th century and she became a fashion designer, and the siblings are not talking right now, and Magdalene is kind of a very obscure, mysterious, but also very famous fashion designer. That's kind of what I wanted to say. But I went a little bit more in detail, in depth, so I hope you will enjoy it. And yeah, if I will sound too dramatic, too, I don't know, pretentious in what I will say, yes, that would be a correct observation. Whenever I write about vampires, this is what we end up with. So yeah, I hope you will enjoy. Let me go pull out my script. Like I said, this is Magdalene Astor. She is the younger sister of my other vampire sim, Kalias. When they were still mortals, they were really close, and sometimes it felt as if it was just two of them against their father and their older brother. It was a different time. The two men truly ruled the household, and the girls had no say in it. God forbid if they even tried. And yes, Kalias was a girl back then. He didn't transition until way later. He had no idea he was actually not a girl back then, at like the end of 18th century or something like that. Their mother died of an untreatable illness when they were little, but they also suspected that their father's behavior helped send her into the grave too early. And then around the time Kalias was 20, he started feeling his health declining as well. The doctor confirmed that it was the same sickness that consumed their mother's body. There we go. You know how I said I would be dramatic? There we go, the illness consumed his mother's body. Unfortunately, there still was no cure. The doctor said he could only slow it down and make sure that when the time comes, the end won't be painful. But Kalias didn't want to die. Hell, he would even give in to witchcraft if that's the only way to survive. And when his father heard, he instantly kicked him out. Again, different times. And just speaking about that made Kalias a dirty sinner in his father's eyes, and he just didn't want him under the same roof. Kalias waited until the house fell asleep. He stole a horse. I mean, technically he didn't, because it was his horse. But I suppose since his father disowned him, he would not be very happy to see that Kalias came back for a horse, but he did. And he rode away to find his cure. Eventually, after many days, he arrived to the gates of an old castle. It was cold, he was starving, and his condition was getting worse quickly. He knocked without hesitation, and pretty much immediately he passed out. He woke up weak inside the castle, and the owner was watching him. There was something strange about him, and he seemed even stranger when he spoke, as if he had read Kalias' thoughts. He said he could cure him, but he might hate the new healthy him, for nothing will be the same ever again. Some go mad when it happens to them, some with power, some because they can't handle their powerful new self. Kalias didn't care for some big speeches on mortality and power. Just cure me for God's sake. So he did, and long story short, Kalias became a vampire. He stayed in the castle for the next few years as the old vampire's companion. Then, one sunrise, he walked out in the sun. Kalias never understood why, but he was alone now with all the wealth his mentor left him. But it meant nothing to him. He started missing his sister, and something was calling him back to her. When he came back to town, he found the house nearly empty. Servants were gone, so was his father. He could barely recognize his older brother, but his brother sure recognized Kalias, and he didn't want to let him in. Kalias should have been dead, and even if he had found the cure, there's no way he would still look so young. It must have been some dark arts that kept him alive. Then Kalias heard Magdalene call out from upstairs for him. He wanted to see her too. His brother didn't want to let him in, but Magdalene's words were enough for an invitation, and the ragged old brother was nothing for Kalias. He rushed upstairs to find that the illness that took their mother, the illness that threatened to take him as well, was now taking over his beloved sister. He found himself saying the words that were once spoken to him, about a cure, about a power and immortality. He said that once Magdalene is cured, they can run away together. They can burn this place down with their abusive brother in it. They can forget this life and make a new one together. Magdalene agreed and let herself be turned. For decades then, the siblings were inseparable. They traveled the continent together. Sure, building a new life sounded great, but they didn't know how to go about it. Not to mention, they had to flee every place because they weren't too careful with their kills. Eventually, they drew an attention of a vampire to themselves. He or she? They were neither and both at the same time, really. He was concerned for the siblings' safety if they kept these ways. He took them in to his coven, among others like them. Sasha was his name, and he never made new vampires. Only helped the ones who he thought weren't handling the gift of immortality well. He was like a caring parent to them, and the siblings adored him. But Sasha had many enemies, and one night they got in. Sasha died, protecting the young ones. Siblings had to flee once again, but this time Magdalene wanted to go separate ways. She thought it was Kalias' fault that the enemies got in, and in fact she was right, but Kalias would never take the blame. Magdalene left, but she was so heartbroken by the loss of her mentor that once she found a safe place, she stayed underground in her coven for decades, and only came back to the world at the end of the 20th century. She was hiding among alternative human subcultures where no one could ever guess her true identity. If she told anyone that she's a vampire, they would be like, haha, yeah, sure. And no one would really think that she's one. But yeah, she liked what this new time had to offer to a woman like her. She fell in love with the fashion of this era. She became an obscure, mysterious fashion designer. She bought a mansion and a private island, and she never let anyone get close, unless they were to be her dinner. Least of all, she wanted her brother near, but she kind of expected him to show up again. Or has he forgotten about her? Maybe he died in the decades, while she was underground. She wasn't sure, and she wouldn't admit it, but she wanted to know. A part of her still cared for him. And that would be all the fancy words that I have prepared for today. Yay! I find it really interesting what words I can think of when I write in English versus what words I can think of when I'm just talking. It's very interesting. I mean, it's the same in every language, right? Same way, if I was writing in Czech, I would write words that I would never say out loud. But I feel like in English, it's a bit more obvious to me. I don't really realize this difference when I'm speaking or when I'm using my native language. Pretty interesting. I still do find it pretty interesting, even though it makes sense that in written form I can express myself better and all that. Sorry, the end was a bit rushed. There's definitely a lot of interesting stuff I could expand on, and I probably will in the future. I would like to talk more about Sasha. I would like to create Sasha. Maybe one of these days I could talk more about what Magdalene's life was once she entered the world again. I don't know. I love vampires. I will, in fact, never abandon my vampire storylines. That's a fact. Did I just say fact 2 times? I may have. No, but seriously, I know that for a fact because one of my vampire stories I have been writing since I was 14. Still writing it, still working on it. So yeah, I'm in fact never leaving it. Why do I keep saying fact? Anyway, I'm gonna go now. I've spoken too much today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you liked this story. And thanks so much for watching. I love you guys, and I will see you all next time. Bye everyone.